Triple H comes out and Adam Pearce is there. And, we are on the road to Crown Jewel and Survivor Series, and it all starts tonight with the season premiere. The road to Crown Jewel begins. Mm-hmm. He calls Adam Pearce one of the unsung heroes who had a successful in-ring career. And for the past 3 years, he has done an incredible job as an official, overseeing both shows. But he won't be doing it alone anymore. So Adam Pearce has been promoted to be general manager of Monday Night Raw. It's like, is that a promotion?
Yeah, I don't know. What was he before?
We're also going to hire someone cold to do the exact same job on the other show, which is seen by more people.
What was his title before?
He never had a title. He was just official Adam Pearce.
So I guess that would technically be a promotion. You at least have a title now. We're going to pay you now. I guess, was he volunteering this whole time?
Well, Nick Aldis is certainly not coming in here as a volunteer. He's also a general manager. So, and you're doing less work.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, if it's more money and less work, then I'd take that as a promotion. I don't got to travel on Fridays anymore. Done. So before he can announce who the general manager of SmackDown is, Dominic comes out and he complains about Judgment Day getting screwed out of their tag titles. And he's upset that Cody and Jay are defending the tag titles when they have to defend them on Monday against the Judgment Day. And Paul says that, well, this Adam Pearce is the general manager of Raw. You need to speak to the general manager of SmackDown, Mr. Nick Aldis. And Nick Aldis just poof appears out of nowhere from ringside. And he comes in and listen, Nick Aldis, I think he'll be very good in this role. Most of this crowd in Toledo, Ohio had no idea who this was.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have expected, honestly, like, because this man has never had a WWE run. He's never been AEW. So I'm just trying to think like what national TV he was in other than Impact, and I think most notably was his run in the NWA and as part of the first All In. But that's speaking to a probably much smaller part of this audience.
Yeah, I think it would have been more pronounced if they had him come from the back and he comes out, where I think it would have been even more like an audience. Like certainly people watching this show, I think, know Nick Aldis, but it's not like he has a song that's going to generate a pop or is going to get that even. Like, sometimes at the Rumble, you'll get a surprise, like the Hurricane comes and the place is going to go nuts. Nick Aldis is not going to have that cachet with a WWE audience. And
they were smart enough to not do that because they probably knew that nobody really knows him yet.
So Aldis, who is dressed to the nines here, and now we have two former NWA champions running Raw and SmackDown.
Ooh, that's right. There must be more than that. Around.
Other NWA champion. They've got Steve Corino at NXT. Maybe he can run NXT.
I think R-Truth is still technically.
You're right. Around. He was a former NWA champion.
Cody.
Cody. Which you do have here. Even Aldis talking about Cody here. You have to, and like with Nick Aldis, the guy's 36, and
wow.
Even if they have one of those like they did with MVP, where it's like, okay, you'll come back, but you're just going to be a manager. You're just going to be this. There will come a time where you could do something like where this builds to a match or something like that. He's much younger than Adam Pearce. Yep. And funny enough, the one time that they did a show-long tease of Adam Pearce wrestling Paul Heyman, that SmackDown I remember it did a huge number. And it was just a tease all night that Adam Pearce was going to wrestle Paul Heyman. So I think it is something you can go to once a year where the GM wrestles. And Aldis is someone that can still do that. But he's a very good talker. And I think this is a role that, I mean, for him, like this seemed like this guy was never going to get any inroads in WWE. And he came in as a producer. And now, boom, this is a golden opportunity for him.
I mean, I would love to know how good of a producer he really was for him to somehow parlay that into like an on-air speaking role as the general manager, as the figurehead of the show. I agree with you, John. I think there's much more likelihood of him eventually entering the wrestling ring because, he's much more closer.
How many guys on this roster are older than this guy? Like quite a lot.
Totally. Yeah. The youth is there. He also has the look that I think they look for. Like he's got the physique, he's got the height. He's got everything that I think
he's almost too intimidating to be in the role of like your authority figure. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like Adam Pearce has like,
he will tower
look of like a retired wrestler, and Nick Aldis, like this guy looks like he could go yesterday.
He like him talking to Chad Gable, like will make Gable like I don't know if he's gonna have to do like the splits thing, like he's gonna tower over like a Chad.
Well, that's
Gable.
Why he's on SmackDown. They're keeping him away from.
They have short guys on SmackDown too, don't they?
One thing I thought that, so Dominic is here to be the kind of the joke of the segment here. So Nick Aldis gets in here and he introduces himself and he wishes Adam Pearce the best and a healthy competition between us, and then tells Dominic, big fan of your dad, which is a good line.
Great line.
And Aldis brings up the mysterious trade for Jey Uso. Finally, SmackDown is going to get someone in return for Jey Uso, and added to SmackDown is Kevin Owens, who comes out and proceeds to stun Dominic. Now, the whole purpose of this segment is, I think part of it is to be like, oh, wow, Kevin Owens is now separated from Sami and he's on SmackDown. And it's like, you're trying to like subtly emphasize like this split of shows with your Raw guy just in the ring here on SmackDown without any reason to be here on SmackDown, and Dominic.
That's a very good point.
Like, why is he here? Like, should I be too concerned about Owens and Zayn being broken up when it seems like Zayn could just pop over if he feels like it?
That's a very good point. He's not even like a second of the tag team champions right now, which aren't Judgment Day. I mean, I don't know. Does the North American Championship grant you those?
Somehow, I think that's the unwritten rule. Any title belt gives you keys to the show you want to be on.
Yeah, I guess so. That's an aspect that they haven't really figured out, I don't think.
What do you think about Owens being the guy that they opted to use here? And I would think that Monday was sort of makes more sense of how clean that ending was, that was the end of Owens and Zayn, at least for now as a team.
I would personally, excuse me, sorry about that.
Don't get too angry. I think they're going to be fine on their own.
I'm outraged about the split of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I would love to know if this was always like how far in advance this was the plan. If when they initially announced the trade, this was always going to be the plan. If when they were maybe teasing, Jey Uso coming in for somebody else, that this was always the plan. Because it felt like the reveal here was kind of anticlimactic. It wasn't necessarily like built up to, and you also don't see the ramifications of the split, which I think could have, been told for so much more drama. Like, we had the story of, okay, Jey Uso's coming into, enemy territory here, babyface locker room on Raw where he's already hated. And now he's also going to be taking away in exchange somebody that we actually like. Turned out to be Kevin Owens, but
wasn't that a line that was stated on Raw? Like, the person going is someone that's beloved in the locker room. Wasn't that said on the show?
I don't remember at this moment. But the point is, like, there could have been a story that I think you could have maybe told. But instead they, on the one hand, it makes sense that you would have Kevin and Jey relieve that tension. Okay. Number one, they could be building to a War Games where they'll have to work together. Number two, they might not be interacting so much anymore. But I also felt like it was a missed opportunity for a lot more maybe drama to be told, like maybe reacting. I thought it would be Zayn. I said I thought it would be Zayn because I thought that would be that much of a bigger gut punch to the WWE Raw locker room. Owens leaving, he's not even upset about it. Like, he seemed to be happy to be on SmackDown, and it just seems like everything's just kind of peaceful, which is perfectly fine.
Got to keep his theme music and his name too.
Sure, that should be part of these drafts going forward. Take
Raw and SmackDown own the IP of their characters, and when they leave, they've got to reinvent themselves.
That's it. Anyway, it'll be fine. Like, again, they might. He'll be showing up on Raw soon enough, everybody. So I don't ultimately think it matters all that much.
We'll never see Owens and Zayn in a ring together again. So that was the segment. He just stunned Dominic and shook hands with Nick Aldis.